What's going on? What's going on? College basketball today. Got a little duck feeding noise. Keep me ready to go. But let's just get right into this card because obviously it's a big one. I'm going to start off with Georgia Southern and App State. Georgia Southern definitely has been playing some good basketball at home. On the road, outside of the game against Coastal Carolina, it's been a little more difficult to predict. App State, while I expect them to win this basketball game at home, the fact that they have that Coastal Carolina common opponent definitely makes me narrow in on those two box scores. At the number right now, I don't see a lot of value in taking App State considering how inconsistent they are when it comes to playing a full 40 minutes. So for me, it's like Georgia Southern has the value full game. Obviously, the shooting is a problem, but defensively, especially from the three-point line, that's where they can make a difference in this game. I think also going and looking at the first half, Georgia Southern at +2 or +2.5 seems like some good value because they're both taking care of business in first halves. They're both playing some good first half defense. I think that this very easily could be a conference game right now where you see Georgia Southern play their best basketball in the first half and then are able to hold on when it comes to the full game. Also have to keep in mind, App State really has not been coming out after halftime with their best performance. So when you can't give me that consistent 40 minutes, it makes it very difficult to take you as a 4.5-point favorite, even at home. So I like Georgia Southern on the road on the spread, and I like Georgia Southern in the first half based off the numbers. This very easily could be a first half that lands on 58 or goes way above 60. So with that, I'm not sure on, so I'll just leave that alone. The next game I'm going to talk about is Stetson and Bellarmine. Obviously, Bellarmine and Stetson are two of my favorite teams from the A-Sun, but I really like what Stetson's doing. Stetson's been a good road dog. Obviously, their last game, they had to fucking come back at half, force overtime, and then absolutely dominate North Alabama in the extra frame. They can do that because their offense is what keeps them and gets them the W's. If they're not scoring the basketball above 70 points, if they're not getting to the free throw line with some frequency, and most importantly, they're not hitting 35% of their threes, then defensively, they will get run out of the show. I like the depth that Stetson has. Obviously, with Weah Panzo, my fellow Canadian, I got a special spot in my heart for him. But with Jalen Blackman, with Steven Swanson, with Luke Brown, with Alec Oglesby, you have some very good backcourt pieces that you can rely on. And then when you look at Josh Smith and Mamadou Diarra, who's played a lesser role, and then my favorite frontcourt player, Alvin Tumblin, I just think that this is a Stetson win tonight. I think Stetson has shown that they can go out on the road, win games like this. And against Bellarmine, I think that they can do it. I obviously have to respect Bellarmine more at home than on the road. That's without a doubt. But I'm just not liking what I'm seeing outside of what's his name? Fucking Justin Betts and Upton. So for me, if you're not getting Alec Freem, you're not getting fucking Patrick Suter performing and giving you double digits and getting on the glass, then it's just not a good matchup stylistically for them. Jalen Blackman obviously is coming off that 29-point game. I don't expect him to be able to replicate that, but this is a good scoring team. And I think that this is a game that we're going to see some points in, at least in the first half. For me, when I look at this total going from 134 to 131.5, if it gets any lower, I'm going to come back and hit the over. As far as the first half, Bellarmine obviously has played much better in second halves than first halves as of late, and Stetson's done a good job of going into halftime with a lead. Now, at +1, it makes sense to back Stetson in this spot, and frankly, I think that there's also a little bit of value on the first half over when we're talking about 61.5. So we'll see what happens. I think that these are two very good offenses, but one team has the leaky defense, which gives me the good warm feeling in my gut about Stetson and Bellarmine at least putting up some points in the first half and getting above that 3 points per minute pace. All right, let's talk about the next game. I guess we'll talk about Ohio State and Minnesota. This is a number right now at 15 where I do like Minnesota full game. I just don't like them first half. I think that I have to give Ohio State the benefit of the doubt, even if Zed Key is not playing today, and I have no idea if he's going to be or not. I do like the way that Ohio State has been able to get off to a couple starts in some of their home games. I don't like how they played necessarily on the road. What they're going to have to do against Minnesota is you're going to have to take away Dawson Garcia's three-point shot, his baseline shooting, boxing out on the glass and keep him out of there. And then you got to just not allow the complementary pieces that Minnesota is going to throw out there, like Tyrone Samuels or Tajon Cooper or Ola Joseph. These are the guys that you got to keep off the score sheet. If Jamin Battle and Dawson Garcia combine for 35 to 40 points tonight, that is not going to cause Ohio State to freaking lose this game. But if Ohio State allows multiple guys into double digits, then that's not playing their game. We've seen Minnesota's offense increase the last couple, so I'm a little suspect of what kind of tempo and how they're going to move the ball inside and out to get the best looks is going to actually facilitate. But this Ohio State team, on paper should be much better than this potential opponent in conference. Justice Suwing is a matchup nightmare, being able to take you inside and out and back a guy down consistently, being able to pass out of double teams. And Bryce Sensabaugh has been one of my favorite freshmen to watch in the Big Ten. He just quietly goes about his business, takes his shots, looks for the best opportunities, and has great court vision as well. Ohio State on the free throw line is what the difference is for me. I don't think that they're leaving points at the free throw line. I think that they're going to be able to take advantage of Minnesota's three-point defense. And when it comes to the glass, even without Zed Key, this is still a very stout rebounding Ohio State team. They have been much better in first halves as of late. I have them as an 8-point favorite by my lines on the first half. I think right now there's not a ton of value in it at 8 or 8.5. You don't have that 2.5 points. But I still think that if you're going to play a favorite or a dog on the spread in the first half of this game, you have to give Ohio State the benefit of the doubt. I think that their three-point defense can really put a squash on some of Minnesota's ball movement to the perimeter. And at the end of the day, if you get into the bonus and you get into foul trouble, at least you have the peace of mind knowing that you're going up against a Minnesota team that's going to turn the ball over and they're not going to be able to take advantage of you at the free throw line. So this is one of the games that I like the number full game for the dog at 15, and I like the first half number on Ohio State. But at 8 or 8.5, it's right along my lines, so I'm not going to tell you to get on it. But it's definitely going to be a very interesting game to watch from a scouting perspective for next games. Minnesota's been good in this point range on the road already this year, so we'll see if they can give us one more. All right, let's talk about another Big Ten game. Let's talk about Michigan and Iowa. Now, This Iowa team is very interesting, but I want to talk about Michigan State first. Now, Michigan State has definitely been up and down. There's no way to deny that. But they have solid wins against teams like Pittsburgh, Maryland, and Penn State. And when you look at some of their losses outside of their really ratchet loss against Central Michigan, a lot of these games have been close. And around the holidays, when you lose as a double-digit favorite like Michigan did, I do give a little bit of an asterisk beside it because there is a lot of non-basketball off the court stuff that we just can't quantify. So for me, I give Michigan a little bit of a pass because of that. But Michigan has been very strong on offense, and I think that when their defense catches up to it, that's when you're going to see the best of the Wolverines. And I think that when you look at them, they should be one of the best defensive efficient teams in the Big Ten. I think they're starting to show it so far in conference season, and against an opponent like Iowa, that's where the conundrum really begins, because Iowa's been inconsistent just like them. We know that they hit rock bottom after they lost to Eastern Illinois as like a 31-point favorite, the biggest underdog fucking win in the history of sports betting, or college basketball sports betting. But I think that Iowa was going through stuff. They had injuries. They had fucking a whole bunch of scheme issues. Patrick McCaffrey was fucking struggling with whether he was going to stay on the team or not. But now, after those two fucking Big Ten losses, they're coming off a big win against Rutgers. And it looks like Iowa's back on track. Now, their defensive game has been terrible. There's no fucking denying that. But if you can make 50% of your 2-point field goal attempts, that means that you're getting an insane amount of fucking dribble drives to the rim. And against Michigan's defense, I don't think that that's going to happen. So I think that this is a game that Michigan's offense can be the starring role, but you're getting a close second to their defense, because if they don't bring that good dribble drive defense, then Iowa's going to fucking do what they've done in the last couple games. So I think that right now, with the line the way it is, where it is, it makes some sense to get on Michigan and take them as a dog in this game. So at 5.5, it just seems like a reasonable number, even though we know that Michigan's had some trouble on the road before. So outside of that, I guess when it comes to the first half, with both these teams being so inconsistent, doesn't really give me a good perspective of what I should be doing. But seeing the line climb up from 2.5 to 5.5 with no injury to speak of definitely gives me a little bit of pause and makes me want to freaking take a shot on Michigan first half, especially when we're talking about +3. So the safer play would obviously be to take the over. Expect both these teams to be able to get up and down. Both are solid at the free throw line. Both shoot volume free throws, and both create a lot of second chance opportunities with their offensive rebounding. But this is by far one of my least favorite games on the board. But it is one of the games that, with a 3.5-point line move, it attracts my attention. So we'll move on from there. All right. So Liberty. Yes, Liberty is one of the teams that makes their money beating up on fucking lesser teams at home. Coming off a very abysmal, very destructive fucking loss outright as a 9.5-point favorite at Eastern Kentucky. That is a bad fucking news situation for North Alabama. Now, North Alabama has been one of the teams that I've enjoyed betting on. I've enjoyed them immensely, but this is where I get off the freaking boat. Now, KJ Johnson and fucking Daniel Ortiz are going to have to put in some goddamn work against this pack line defense to elevate North Alabama to a situation that they can be competitive in this game. But I do not think that you are going to get Darius McGee only being able to get off fucking 11 shot attempts and going 2 for 11 in 2 consecutive games. I expect a better game from him. I like what we're getting out of this Liberty bench. I think that with Liberty, it's really about playing who the hot hand is, because this is a good 3-point shooting team. This is a good free throw shooting team. This is a good drive and kick team, which you see them employ tons and tons of times if you watch within games. I think that the key is the guy coming off the bench, the little guy that sometimes you confuse for Darius McGee from afar, Brody Peebles. I love how he gets into the lane. I love his 3-point shot. I love the quick release. And he's scored in double digits 4 out of his last 5 games. So in wins, he's doing what he needs to do. And most importantly, outside of the points and the quality minutes, he's not turning the basketball over. For a kid that has the ball in his hands as often as he does, I enjoy the fact that he has such good court vision and good sense that he's able to take care of the basketball. This is a bad matchup for North Alabama at this time. I think Liberty really takes advantage. You're going to need Kyle Rhodes. You're going to need Blake Preston. You're going to need Colin Porter, Shiloh Robinson. These are the guys that can take advantage down low, create those open 3-point looks when the double team comes. So for me, Liberty is in a very bad mood spot if I were to analyze their psychology. And coming off a loss in a game that they only scored 59 points, I think they're putting up 70 plus. I think that they're covering this big number, and I'm fucking biting the fucking bullet on it. Now, the question's going to be, do I get on this team first half? And that's where I'm having a little more difficulty, because when you look at the first half numbers, Liberty has been absolutely dominant in first halves over the last 5 games, aside from their last one. But North Alabama, that's when they played their best basketball as well. So I would consider probably looking at North Alabama if you can get 10 or more. But if it's single digits and it's 9.5, I'm taking Liberty, because I feel like when I look at this game and I look at my numbers and projections, this is a 10-point Liberty first half lead. So 9.5, I'd be on Liberty. Anything higher, I'd go the other way. But definitely be aware, when Liberty loses outright, they are not in a pleasant mood next time out. All right, let's talk about one of the new teams in college basketball at the Division I level. That is Queen's University of Charlotte. Now, lots of people, and one person in particular that I respect, loves this team as well. I think that this is a big number for them. If you got in early on them at 10.5, then I applaud you and I say you had some good common sense. But this is a game that I'm way more interested in betting the full game over than telling you what to do on the spread. I think that when you look at Kenny Dye, when you look at a guy like freaking AJ McKee is the key offensively. Double digits in all of his last 10 games and 20-point efforts in 3 out of his last 5. That's the type of offense that you need. Now, if he can cut down on the 2.3 turnovers a game that he's averaging during that stretch and playing 31 solid, high-energy minutes, then this is a game that should help elevate their fucking tempo and their fucking offensive efficiency stats. I think that when you look at this Queen Charlotte team, they can play a variety of different styles. The question is going to be, can Central Arkansas score enough in this game? We've seen them score into the 70s. That's what they're going to have to do in this game tonight. And even though their road performances have led to a lot of blowouts, and it's very easy to just fall in love with that, I still think that they're at least competitive for fucking 20 minutes of this game tonight. So for me, I think that at the end of the day, Central Arkansas can make enough free throws to keep that game at the pace and tempo to get over the full game. And I just have to fucking question, can they hit that 70-point plateau? Can they hit some threes? I think against Queens College, they're going to be able to. I like how Queens College is very 3-point oriented. They're going to put up 30 attempts a game. Both teams get to the line 35 to 40 times combined. And with all the turnovers that we're going to see with some bad passes, bad interior passes from the baseline, especially at the Queen Charlotte. I think there's going to be some transition scoring opportunities. So I like this game, and I think that this is a really good fucking offensive game that we're going to see tonight. Now, the question is going to be when it comes to the first half spread, what do you do there? You know, you've seen a 2-point line move. We've seen the number go from what? 6 to 7 now, 7.5 at its highest. Yeah, I think that I would still be trying to double up on Queens and hit that 7 just because Central Arkansas, you know, their chances are they're going to give up 40 in this first half. It's a 160 total, so someone's got to give up 40 in the first half. I got to look more into that game, but the number I was just looking at was definitely giving me the impression that Queens probably comes out and leads at halftime by 7 to 10 points. All right, let's move on to another ASUN game, Jacksonville and Kennesaw State. Now, I love Kennesaw State and I love Jacksonville. I like what Coach Mincy's done since he got there, but I am worried about what you're getting offensively out of your main players. You know, obviously Jordan Davis is not going to have an 0-for-8 performance in 2 games in a row, but you need your big man in Osifo and Matt Marsh to really give you something more than they did last time out. Jacksonville has not been very good on the road, and I think that when you go up against a Kennesaw team that's going to zone you up, that has multiple guys that can beat you from all 3 levels, you just don't want to get into a tight game if you're Kennesaw State because you're free throw shooting. Outside of that, you really don't have a lot of holes offensively that I can point out. Outside of that, you know, I just think that this Kennesaw team is playing their best basketball of the season so far. They're playing their best basketball, especially at home, and at home is where the heart is. So for me, this is a Kennesaw first half spot. I think that they have a 3-point first half advantage, and I think that Kennesaw wins the basketball game. I just don't really have faith in Jacksonville being able to get to the free throw line enough and being able to freaking make their 3-point shots count enough to pull the outright upset. So I'll respect what the line's doing right now. I like the fucking basketball security on the Kennesaw side. And against a team like Jacksonville, you're going to need to take care of the basketball. And if you can do that, then I think that you're winning tonight. And when I see 3 points or 2.5 points, I think that's reasonable, especially in a game that I think is going to be going over 127.5. So rolling with Kennesaw in that game. The one place that I see some undervalue would have to be on the first half. You know, Jacksonville is a team that struggles to get to 55 points in the first half, whether it be their scoring or their defense. I think at 66.5, if you're going to take a fucking, not 66.5. What the fuck am I saying? If you're going to take one at 59.5, you know, that's a little fucking closer than I thought. But maybe there will be a late surge and that line will get pushed up to 60, but I was looking at the wrong line. I was looking at the North Florida first half. So not a lot of value there, more value on the first half spread. All right, let's talk about Jacksonville State and North Florida. North Florida cannot win on the road. I do not like them in these coin flip games, even though with freaking Carter Hendrickson, with Jose Placer, they should be able to win this basketball game. This is not the potent offensive Jacksonville State team that we've been used to seeing in the past. Unfortunately, this is not the crispest North Florida offense that we've seen in the past. They need Jarius Hicklin to be able to hit threes, to be able to lead this offense, and be able to create those nice double teams and feed the ball into guys like Hendrickson and Placer. I think when you look at this North Florida bench, there just is too much indecision with what the minute allocation for this rotation is going to be. I want to see more Jonathan Ibar. He's a difference maker off the bench. I want to see more Dorian James. He's a difference maker with his 3-point shot. There are potential weapons here that can stand up and lead you to a road win. I just haven't seen it so far this year, and I'm not willing to tell you to put your money on it. So for me, when I look at Jacksonville State, I look at the quality that Damari King and Skylar Potter bring, but what I see as the difference maker and the determining factor for me when it comes to this game, win-loss wise, is Nugamizi. Since he's come back in the lineup, he's made a huge difference on both sides of the basketball, giving you some fucking double-digit scoring performances, giving you solid fucking points, solid defense on the glass. And most importantly, he hasn't been a liability fucking when it comes to transition defense and offense. When you come off an injury like that, you are worried about a guy running up and down the floor that something else is going to break. And for him to have the fucking fortitude, the confidence in his body and his rehab to be able to get up and down like he has, I got to commend him. And I think that having him in the lineup as a rim protector and as an interior scorer is going to be the difference tonight. I think Jacksonville State wins this game. They made a lot of fucking money for themselves, beating up on fucking lower tier teams. I think that this is an opportunity for them to be at their healthiest so far this season and be able to fucking put out a winning game for us tonight. So when I see Jacksonville State at 1, when I see Jacksonville State at first half minus a half, it seems like the right play for me. So I'm going to roll with it. When I look at the first half numbers, obviously I got to fucking put a little grain of salt in that just because Florida Gulf Coast put a whooping on North Florida last time out. But it's a tough one. Both teams have not played good in first halves. And you really have to just throw that out the window. I think that I very easily able to back the team that plays the better first half defense, and that's Jacksonville State. And I'm rolling with Alabama to beat Florida tonight. So stay fucking bullshit. Let's go. Bring me some Jacksonville State, and hopefully they can keep this North Florida team off the free throw line, because that is pretty much my determining factor in my notes here. All right, let's move it on. Obviously, I'm enjoying this card today, even though I'm not really confident in it. I think that's a shitty card. Just it has a whole bunch of teams I really like to fucking watch and bet on. Let's talk about one more ASUN game, probably the premier ASUN game, and that is Eastern Kentucky versus Florida Gulf Coast. Florida Gulf Coast looked really good last time out. Now I'm really wondering, wow, what do I know about college basketball players? They cannot replicate their performance game to game. So what have I learned? Well, Eastern Kentucky at home and Eastern Kentucky on the road are two different programs. Eastern Kentucky at home is able to fucking press, get you in corners, force you into making a bad pass cross court. That's what Eastern Kentucky was able to do against Liberty. Can they do against Florida Gulf Coast with how many experienced ball handlers that they have on the floor? Whether that be Isaiah Thompson, whether that be Caleb Cato, even Zach Anderson can handle the ball. I think that this is a tough game for Florida Gulf Coast to go in and win by more than a bucket. I think Eastern Kentucky +4 is the way that I like to look at it. Eastern Kentucky is the healthiest they've been all year. And I think that with Eastern Kentucky, the most interesting part about them is just the starring pieces that you thought would be leading this team are not doing it. The three-point shooting is out of this world. The free throw shooting is fucking makes you want to fucking choke yourself out. So for me, I like the number when it comes to Eastern Kentucky full game. I like the fact that you're getting fucking some nice performances out of a guy like John Okamadi. Guy's been able to come off the fucking bench, give you some fucking rebounds, give you some scoring down low, get to the free throw line, hit his free throws, and he's even able to come up with some steals, especially in that Central Arkansas game. So I think that this Eastern Kentucky team, while they have some pieces that are a little unknown to me, this is still a team that I view on the rise and having a significant advantage versus their opponents at home, regardless of if it's a big crowd or not. Because if you look at their attendance numbers, it's not like they're selling out. But against one of the best teams in the conference, coming into your house off a huge win against Liberty, I like this game to fucking be low scoring, and I like this game to fucking be Eastern Kentucky win. Now at 145.5, I look towards the under. If you're telling me at 142, I look the other way. So we'll see what happens. The more I look into this game, the more I think that the under has value. So that scares me a little. But if it does, that plays into Eastern Kentucky's hand. Eastern Kentucky can win slow, they can win fast, and I just don't have the same confidence in Florida Gulf Coast. And let's not forget the most important thing about Florida Gulf Coast. Pat Chambers. He loves any big woman. Doesn't matter how greasy, how sweaty, how out of place she is. He will fucking bang them. He will do it sober, and then he'll drink 13 shots of Zambuca. The dude is a fucking animal, and you know what? I just have to applaud him. Pat Chambers, I salute you. Fucking bang all those fucking big girls. Bang all those big girls. All right. Enough out of that. All right. So let's talk some more mid-major basketball because obviously that's where my heart is. Let's talk about Detroit Mercy versus Youngstown State. Now, for Detroit Mercy, I equate it very simply. If Gerald Liddell is in the lineup, then Detroit Mercy wins the basketball game. But if they have to just rely on Antoine Davis and Jaden Stone to carry them offensively and not have that dependable third option on both sides of the floor, then I'm off it. So for me, it's Youngstown right now until I find out if Liddell is playing or not. So at -1.5, it's definitely a Youngstown fucking number. Youngstown's played a lot better at home, but they have shown the ability to win on the road, and this obviously is a road game. I like how Youngstown's efficient offense is probably going to be able to score on whatever Detroit tries to do, whether it be man-to-man, whether it be a 1-3-1, or whether it be freaking a matchup zone. I'm not worried about Youngstown's offense. I'm worried about Youngstown's defense. I'm worried about Youngstown getting off to a good start in the game. Now, the last 5 games, they've done a good job of getting off to a good start in the first half. That's going to be critical in this game today. We've also seen Youngstown have very bad first halves and then have amazing second halves. So when I look at this and I say Gerald Liddell doesn't play, I say Youngstown first half, Youngstown full game, and Youngstown at halftime. It just makes sense to me. This is one of the best second half teams in college basketball. I don't need to look at teamrankings.com to fucking find that. I can look at the game logs and my fucking betting experience. So for me, I like Youngstown a lot right now. I just get a little blurry in the water when I see Gerald Liddell either in the lineup or out. Youngstown ball facilitation, limiting Detroit on the offensive glass will be key. Outside of that, I don't know. This line opened at 158. It's down to 154.5. That doesn't inspire me a lot to get on the over or the under. However, with both these teams being able to put up 40 birds in the first half, it does still tell me I should fucking wait, be patient. Maybe I get 153.5. Maybe I get 153 even. But I'll be on the over somehow, some way this game. I just haven't decided whether it's going to be first half or full game. Okay, let's talk about a real easy game for me to talk about. Robert Morris has been very good to me. There's no doubting it. I love what Khalil Spears doing with Innit Cheeks, with Josh Corbin. Those 3 guys will make or break Robert Morris tonight. But what we have seen Oakland do, the transformation from non-conference to conference season, it's like fucking 2 different teams. And I'm riding the Oakland train. I'm riding it. Jalen Moore is one of the best point guards at the mid-major level when he's able to stay healthy, not turn his ankles, and when he can limit his turnovers. He's a ball hawk. He has great court vision, and he is a great interior passer, which is very important for a point guard that plays the style that he does. So when he gets deep inside the paint and he seems to be surrounded, he is still somehow able to get the ball out to Rocket Watts, get it out to Blake Lampman. And with those two guys being able to set their feet and shoot threes, fuck, man. A lot of open looks coming for Oakland tonight. I think that the X factor for Oakland is Trae Townsend. I love his size. I love his back to the basket scoring ability. I love his face up jump shot. There's just a lot that I'm seeing from this Oakland team that I did not see in the non-conference. And that was because of injuries, COVID, whatever it was. I think Oakland wins this game. I think they win this game by 2 buckets or more. I think that they're able to fucking take advantage of a Robert Morris team that almost got beat by IUPUI. And I think that the step up in class shows that, if they were a 12-point dog, I'd be looking at them, but not at this number. So I'm rolling with Oakland in this spot. I like Oakland first half as well. All right, let's talk about IUPUI and Purdue-Fort Wayne. Now, Purdue-Fort Wayne has an opportunity tonight to put a thumping into a team that they can thump. They looked terrible in the first half at home versus Milwaukee last time out. I do not expect the same kind of offensive output, but you're going to need more than Jared Godfrey hitting free throws to fucking win this game and cover this number. I have not been impressed with what I've seen from Deontay Billups. I'm not impressed with Damian Chonquis, 22% from the three-point line. And if Bobby Plantis, the former St. Bonaventure Bonnie, is averaging 12 points a game, that is not a good sign. Last year, this team had 5 double-digit scores at any point in the season. That is not the case now. I do not like them at this number. I like IUPUI at the fucking 15 or whatever you can get right now. 15.5 works for me. The only issue I have with IUPUI is the fact that Jalen Counter again twisted his ankle, and I don't know his status for tonight. I think that this is a matchup that IUPUI is not the same group that they were last year. They don't have the depth issues. They got the Gerard brothers. They got Dalen Hamilton. They got Vincent Brady. All these guys are legitimate fucking Division I players. So for me, I think that IUPUI comes in. I think that they put on a good fight, and that's about that. So, and let's not forget, IUPUI last year was a liability at the free throw line, not so much this year. The one area that you can take advantage of them is first half spreads. I was on Robert Morris first half. My Discord was on Robert Morris first half last time out. I think that at 8 or 8.5, if you have to buy down to the 8, that's probably the most attractive way to take Purdue-Fort Wayne because they're not attractive by the analytics, by my line projections, and by my model. So, yeah. I could be totally wrong. It happens all the time. I just don't think it right now as I sit here and talk about it. So, if there's going to be a way to take Purdue-Fort Wayne, you take them first half, but full game, IUPUI for me all the way. So, I think that this is a very close spread. It's probably an ass clencher. I had this game finishing between 14 and 17.5 points. So, we'll go from there. This is a big card. Okay, let's talk about Stony Brook and Drexel. Now, this is a spot where I do think that Drexel has some value first half because they have been making their fucking name beating up on teams that are lesser than them. And with Corleen Washington and Lamar Odom Jr. and Amari Williams back in the lineup, they definitely have some pieces that can be problematic. But this is a Stony Brook team that also has a bunch of size and a bunch of guys that can get inside. Frankie Pacelli from the three-point line. Tyler Stevenson Moore from anywhere. Sarvan and Fitzmaurice down low provide fucking 6'10" and 7-footer. So I just don't think that Amari Williams is going to be able to bully his way around if he can stay out of foul trouble in this game like they did last time out. Now, don't get me wrong. This is a Drexel team that's been making people money. Beating Monmouth by 32 points as a 14.5 point fucking favorite is respectable. And they did it also against Elon. They did it against Delaware State. They've covered some numbers that have been in the double digits. But this is one of these games where they're playing a new conference opponent. And I think that this conference opponent, especially at home, coming off playing against Towson's defense and Towson's rebounding, I think that they're in a better position. The more interesting play when it comes to this game has to be when it comes to looking at the total. When you look at Drexel and Stony Brook, there's a lot of totals that finish in this fucking point range. Now, if this was in the 135, I would be putting a $300 play on the under. But you're really taking away a lot of the value. When I look at Stony Brook's last couple games, against Towson, 122. Against Monmouth, 123. Well, against Northeastern, it was 126. This line right now, even though I want to take the under, just doesn't have the value and the appeal to me. So I'm laying off of that. I'm going to roll with Stony Brook +5 full game. Obviously, not having Aaron Clark is disappointing, but this is a solid free throw shooting team. This is a good perimeter defensive team. And I think that they can keep this Drexel team under 65 and remain competitive. Now, when it comes to the first half, I did bet the over, but I'm having a lot of buyer's remorse on it because when I look at Stony Brook, these are two teams that struggle to get over 56 points in the first half. And right now, at 58, I'm having buyer's remorse. I think that the pace and tempo will pick up in the second half. And I think that Drexel, for me, as a favorite, they do a lot of their best work early on rather than in the second half. So by the numbers, they're +6 in the second half and +11, I think, or no. I think they're +10 or 11 in the first half. I can't remember what I wrote down, and I don't have it in front of my face. Outside of that, I think that this is one of those classic tales of a tale of two halves. So I'm going to roll with Stony Brook full game. I'm going to roll with Drexel first half, and I'm having buyer's remorse on my first half over in this game. So I have to make a decision there. Let me just take a quick go. All right. Longwood against UNC Asheville. Now, Longwood is a team that I've learned to appreciate early on in games and not as much late in games. This is a Longwood team that's probably playing their best basketball of the year from a win-loss perspective. But I'm not going to be sitting here and taking their money line at this number. I think that they're 8-2 in their last 10. So they've been putting in some work, but UNCA is 7-3. So I don't really take a lot into that. I think that the biggest area of concern when it comes to Asheville is just their free throw shooting. Game in, game out, it's fucked them. So I think that in this game, that's where I have the bigger fucking issue. Where I see the best value has to be Longwood first half. When I look at UNC Asheville, they're a team that's regularly down at halftime and have to make a comeback in the second half. Now, this may be a little more difficult to do versus this version of Longwood, especially with Isaiah Wilkins healthy and playing a starring role. Over the last 5 games, Longwood has averaged 48 points in second halves. If they can replicate that in this game, then my Asheville full game is fucked and I'm going to be splitting. I think that the strongest play to make in this game is the first half because of the discrepancy. I have UNC Asheville as a -6 first half team where I have Longwood as a +5 team. If you want to take that however you will, that still turns out to me being an 8-point advantage. From a personnel perspective, this Asheville team should be a lot better and very competitive when you look at guys like Tyjon Jones, when you look at fucking Drew Pember, when you look at Fletcher Abbey that came over from Citadel. This team has 3 capable, competent scoring fucking players at different levels. The question is going to be, can they lock down on a couple guys on Longwood? Zach Watson's a beast down low, but gets into foul trouble. Deshaun Wade is a 3-point shooter just when they're trying to make a comeback. And then fucking Will Napper, he's just a very efficient driver to the bucket. And with his court vision, he's able to fucking dish it off or take it to the rim for 2, and usually an easy 2. Also, he's not afraid to get on the glass. So definitely a tough game, and why I'm playing it a tale of 2 halves. I think that Longwood definitely by the numbers screams first half full game, but I'm not playing it like that. I respect the 48 points that they're averaging the last 5 in second halves, but does that mean that they can do it a 6th time? I'm hoping not. All right, let's talk a little Troy and Georgia State. Now, for me, it's very hard to back this Georgia State team just because they're not shooting the 3 ball in a way that I thought that they would. I thought that with a guy like Dwan Odom, with fucking Brendan Tucker on this team, with even a fucking guy like Jermaine Maine, there'd be some 3-point shooting, but there just really isn't. And I think that that's the big downfall for this team. They can get to the rim. They can fucking guard. They can fucking really give you trouble when you try to go for those high percentage looks. But the 3-point shooting is abysmal. And if they had some 3-point shooting in the game against Lafayette last time out, they probably do complete the comeback. I don't think that they can score 70 points 2 games in a row. I don't think it's happening this time out. I think that with this Troy defense, especially when it comes to on the glass and the 3-point line, that's where they're going to make their bread and butter. And the more that they can compact inside the paint, giving those open looks or those looks that seem like they're open, I just think that this is a bad matchup for Georgia State tonight. I think that Troy can beat them in an up and down game, and I think that they can beat them in a slowed down fucking rock fight. I like the physicality that they have going on. I like the size that they have down low, and I like that they're a 70% free throw shooting team. So outside of that, Georgia State really hasn't given me a lot to be like, well, fuck, this is the turnaround. This is the turnaround. So they've lost 3 out of their last 4. Being at home hasn't really made that big of a difference, and I don't think so. I don't think it's going to make a difference tonight. Now, Troy is not a team that I'm really looking to get on first half when it comes to this game. It's something that I'm going to be on, but it's not really my strongest look in it. I think that the better way to play this game is to anticipate that both these teams have a little bit of trouble scoring early on, and that 61.5 seems like a number that they can get under. I really think that this could end up being like a 57 to 60 point first half, and then they elevate their scoring in the second half. But I'm not going to be putting any of my money on Georgia State. That's for sure. All right. Wow, they're making Kinks underwear for women that are pee-proof and leak-proof, so they can pee in their pants and it won't leak. That is really sexy. Fucking the JJ probably smells like a fucking landfill after that. And the JJs are not supposed to smell like landfills. I'll tell you that. All right, let's talk about Coastal Carolina and Old Dominion. Now, this is a Coastal Carolina team that looked very bad against Marshall, giving up 80 plus points. Let's not hold that against them because Old Dominion probably had their best offensive game of the year last time out, and I do not think that they're going to replicate that. So instantly, I look towards the under in this game. Obviously, we've had some line movement when it comes to it. Opened at 139, down to 136.5, and I do think it's the right move. This is a very good Coastal Carolina rebounding team, and they're going to have to do a good job on the glass to do that, because what happens with their offensive rebounds and creating those second chance opportunities? More trips to the free throw line, and that's where this team can be very dangerous. Now, We haven't seen Coastal Carolina really have that standout type of game, but I do think that it's coming. Antonio Day, healthy, in the lineup, starting. Henry Abraham, in the lineup, healthy, starting. Jamaro Brown, averaging 15 points off the bench. Linton Brown, the former St. Bonnie, fucking hitting threes, getting playing time. And of course, Assam Mustafa anchoring the middle. X Factor, though, Jimmy Nichols, VCU transfer. I like this Coastal Carolina makeup of the team. The question is going to be, can they get three-level balanced scoring? If they can do that tonight, then they stay and hang around in this game, and that 7.5 points is a little too fucking tough for Old Dominion. The only time I really want to be backing Old Dominion is on a Saturday home game. They look good against Georgia Southern. I do think that they come back down to earth this time out. So it remains to be seen, but we will see. Obviously, Faison Field, you got to be able to stop him from doing anything that he wants. Bryce Baker was a problem coming off the bench. And of course, Tyreek Scott Grayson, you cannot let him fucking shoot threes and fucking dribble drive wherever he wants. This is not a fucking easy game for Coastal Carolina to go in, but I do think that this is a game that is just a couple points too much. If this was 4.5 for Old Dominion, I'd be on them, but not at 7.5. So, is that the right move? Remains to be seen, but we will see tonight. I do not think Coastal Carolina is pulling the outright upset, so I will not be on a money line spot with them. But 7.5 points against a 64% free throw shooting team definitely gives me a little bit of confidence, because if we have to extend, there could potentially be a bunch of 1 out of 2 free throw trips, and that's how you backdoor cover games. Outside of that, yeah, offensively, this could be a game that we see 64 or more points in the first half. I'm just not confident on it. Coastal Carolina wants to play more up and down. ODU wants to slow it up. Outside of that, did I want to say anything else? No, that's it. All right. Oh, now one of the most interesting games on the Sun Belt fucking slate. That is ULM versus ULL. And I'm all about ULM in this game, especially at 8.5 points. This is a ULM team that really turned the page when conference season started. And when you look at some of the offense that they're getting from Tyreek Locour, the rebounding they're getting from Thomas Howe, the rim protection from Victor Bafuto, this is a team that is not playing a very deep fucking rotation, but guys are playing smart and playing smart when they pick up fouls. Jamari Blackman handling the ball, running this offense is what I like to see. But if you don't get Tyreek Locour having a good offensive game, then this becomes much, much more difficult. But like I said, ULM in conference season is not the same ULM from non-conference season. So put it like that. On the ULL side, this is a very solid fucking ULL team. They do a very good job rebounding from all positions. They have a dominant low post player in Jordan Brown, the Nevada and Arizona transfer. They got a solid, experienced 20-something-year-old point guard in Greg Williams, formerly of St. John's. This is definitely not a walk in the park for ULM. But I like how they're playing basketball right now. And everything that I saw them do in the non-conference season, especially that game against Jacksonville, is out of my mind. So for me, ULM as a first half play is definitely very interesting, especially at 4.5. They're a team that have regularly over the last 5 games won first halves, where ULL has been really playing with fire early on in games. So for me, it's ULM full game. It's ULM first half. All right, let's talk about some more Sunbelt, because Sunbelt is on, especially at 8 o'clock. And that is Texas State versus Arkansas State. Texas State's done a fantastic job on the road. Really one of these teams that you can trust to go out and take care of business on the road. That's what you're going to need tonight. With Arkansas State, Terrence Ford Jr. is a solid player, but he can get into foul trouble. Omar El-Shaki, he's a guy that you want to get into foul trouble because he will score off his rebounding fucking work. Anthony Phelps is a guy you got to be able to track on the three-point line, and obviously Caleb Fields makes or breaks this offense. I just think that this is a bad defensive matchup for Arkansas State. I think that they're going to find scoring very hard to come by, even though Texas State is not one of the teams that you rave about fucking offensively. They are a very solid first half team. The more that I looked at this number, the more I was like, wow, this could be a fucking big, this could be a 3-unit play on the first half. Texas State normally dominant on the first half, road or at home. Arkansas State leaves a lot to desire on the road or at home in the first halves. I have a +6 advantage for Texas State. And at 2.5 point spread? It's a full game I'm talking about. It just makes sense to me. Texas State has Mason Harrell playing the best basketball of the season so far. I think that this team wins with fucking good defense, and keeping teams under 30 points in the first half is something that is not fucking strange to them. We just saw them go into South Alabama and hold South Alabama to 21 points in the first half. They won the first half by 15. That's something that has regularly happened on the road. Do I need to go to the James Madison game? Held James Madison under 30 points in the first half in a game that I thought that they were going to get fucking walked over. So I can bypass the terrible offensive shooting numbers that they have because Nigel Caesar's dominating on the glass. Mason Harrell's running this team and being a ball hawk. Drew Dinnan is facilitating to the best of his ability and getting into the paint and getting good looks at the rim. I don't know how else to fucking sell it to anybody. I'm not trying to sell it. I just like the play a lot. So give me Tyrell Morgan, Nate Martin, and Mason Harrell leading the way for Texas State on the road any day. And if I can get a fucking X-Factor game-changing performance from Brandon Davis, that's butter in my mouth, and I love butter. I don't know why I have to start yelling I love butter, but I love butter. Okay, we'll move on from that. Okay. Yeah, I like the lights better than a fucking white light, so I don't play the white light anymore. I don't have to do videos for anybody that's paying me, so I don't give a shit. It's just because I was fucking bored and I didn't want to bet on fucking whack soccer. Shitty fucking soccer games today. So, fuck that. All right, let's see. How many more games are there? Oh, there's a bunch. Oh, I'm not going to talk about all of them. I'm just going to talk till I feel like stopping. Okay, back to the Sun Belt. Actually, fuck that game. Hold on 1 second. Now I just want to look at something. Yeah, the James Madison South Alabama game, I was leaning towards South Alabama first half, but I do think that it's a real fucking coin flip of a game. And I'm very scared to bet any overs in James Madison games right now. I'm very scared. Like, I could see this game staying under 66.5 in the first half very easily. Like, both these teams have struggled to get to 60 in the first half lately. So be aware of that. I definitely think that first half under 66.5 is something I'll be looking at. But right now, I think that Texas State is fucking a really nice play first half. I think Texas State is a really nice play first half. Where is it? Okay, sorry. Just looking at the board here. Am I retarded? Could be. There it is. Yeah, I think that I will actually make that a stream play. I never really care about making a stream play, but for anybody that's watching, Texas State -1.5 first half, that's a play right there. I haven't bet it yet, but I will bet it. And I'll leave it on the screen so that you can look at it. You can judge me. You can fucking analyze it also. Tell me that I'm fucking smoking too much weed. It's okay. I'm good with that. But when I stare at these first half numbers that I wrote down, I'm just like, wow. Like, I used to be all about James Madison fucking first half overs. Not anymore. Not since conference season started. So, go from there. All right, Wright State and University of Green Bay. Obviously, with Green Bay, I've been very impressed with some of their resiliency in game, especially from Zach Blake and Clarence Cummings, Cade Meyer, all been very good. But if you're going to get Garin Davis giving you fucking 18 points, I just can't rely on that on a fucking game-to-game basis. So I won't. I think that this is definitely a game on paper that Wright State has to win. The question's going to really be, do you want to be laying this type of number with them? When I see 9.5 points, it seems quite reasonable. But then I go and I have to look a little deeper. Is Wright State going to be able to play any kind of adequate dribble drive defense? I don't know. I just don't know. Like, this is a great offensive team, but they can't play defense. And even a bad team like Wisconsin Green Bay can made to be look good in that situation. For me, Green Bay is a team that I like to back as a 14 or 15-point underdog. Not at this line. And my other issue is Green Bay has had really bad first halves, like down by 10 quite often at halftime, struggling to get to 30. Can Wright State score 40 points and keep them at 30 or less? I'm going to end up on Wright State first half just because that's what the numbers are telling me. But I don't feel clean about it. And I'm lucky I live in a fucking country that has running water. I just have to go right there. And there's a shower that I can wash the filth off of me. But yes. I think Wright State, if you go by numbers, analytics, if you go by model projections, most of them are going to spit out Wright State by 5 or more in the first half. So what's the number right now? 5.5, 5. So that's it for me on that game. Not going to waste any more time talking about it. Northern Kentucky, Milwaukee. I'm rolling with Milwaukee at home. Yeah, I know. It's not the smartest decision. It's not a smart decision. Northern Kentucky has been fantastic with fucking Sam Vincent, with Marquise Warwick. These are two very fucking quality pieces. But there's just something about the scheme matchup tonight. And the fact that Northern Kentucky, they really haven't fucking helped me. They couldn't even cover against fucking Detroit, which actually I was on Detroit, so I was happy about. But they're just not one of these teams that I feel very comfortable betting them as a favorite on the road. Against fucking IUPUI, couldn't cover. Got backdoor covered. Against Oakland, against Detroit, the same shit. Obviously, this is a much shorter number, so I have to take that into account. But I just like what this Milwaukee team does at home. I love the fucking game plan. I love the fucking adjustments in game. And frankly, I just like how this team has fucking been able to fucking take care of business so far in conference season. Since the page turned and they lost that fucking blowout to Oakland, they've knocked off 3 opponents that on paper, they should have lost all 3. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt one more time, and I'm going to take them in their fucking home opener, their second home game against fucking Northern Kentucky here. So, last time that they're at home in conference was against IUPUI. That was a win. Another thing about Northern Kentucky is, unless you have specific people at the free throw line in the second half, I don't trust this Northern Kentucky team to fucking do what they got to do. That's what basically allowed Detroit to stay in it last time. I think that Milwaukee, from a first half perspective, definitely has a little bit of value there because if they're going to be able to be competitive out of one of the periods, it's probably the first half. But I'm not in a rush to go hit it. the line isn't really doing anything right now. And the fact that it hasn't flipped over is what has me concerned. I like when lines move with me, but I don't give a shit if they move against me. I play my numbers where everybody else is playing fucking Ken Palm. Like, if you still use Ken Palm, I gotta fucking give you a fucking talking to. All right. I profess my love for Milwaukee, and now we can move on to St. Thomas and UMKC. Now, the Tommies are a fucking home team I like to back. I'm not a big fan of backing them on the road. I'm not a big fan of backing them to win basketball games on the road, and I don't expect them to win this basketball game tonight. I think that with UMKC getting beat the way that they did against Oral Roberts leaves a really bad taste in your mouth, but it also can be very inspiring. I think that when you look at Raquandis Mitchell and Jeff Ngannou, my fellow Canadian, those are two guys that have to be fucking putting up some nice numbers and being effective. I think that when you look at a guy like Shamari Allen, he's the X factor. If Shamari Allen has a good game, then this team wins and wins comfortably. Otherwise, this is an ass clencher, and a lot of people will question why I do this. Max, why didn't you take the Tommies? Max, what the fuck's wrong with you, Max? You're smoking too much weed, bro. No. I just watch these basketball teams, and some of them just do not play the same based off where they're playing. If the venue isn't in their favor, I don't see them having that betting value unless we're talking about a 7 or 8 point line, and we don't. We're talking about a fucking 2-point line, and frankly, we're talking about a UMKC team that is going to have an easier time slowing them down than they would if they were switching venues. Obviously, when you look at the Tommy's numbers and you see the free throw shooting, you see the 3-point shooting, you see the effectiveness inside the arc, those numbers are mixed in with fucking some pretty shitty numbers. And what I've seen is that they do not come out with good first half defense or good road defense at all. If they're going to give up 70 points or more to UMKC, they're not in this game. I think UMKC has the best value first half, especially at home. And even though that they've played fucking some easy competition or some teams that had really bad games against them, they still went on the court and won the game. So for me, it's UMKC first half. Tommies at home are different than Tommies on the road. And I like UMKC full game. As far as the total, the under is the spot, but the lines move too much. We're already talking about a 3.5 point line move. And in a game that I anticipate to be close, it's just not a smart move for me. All right, Oral Roberts and Western Illinois. I feel like I've been falling into this fucking Oral Roberts trap every time. I'm not doing it tonight, but then I go and I'm like, Western Illinois just got 57 points from fucking Trenton Masner and fucking Alec Rosner. Like Rosner, he's been someone that I did not expect to be as good as he's been. He's had some fucking really big games against Eastern Illinois, against South Dakota, against Denver last time out, against North Dakota State. He's put some numbers up in conference, and what has he done most effectively is get to the free throw line and hit his fucking free throws. Does not leave points at the line and has some of his best games when this team is winning basketball games. I think that from an offensive standpoint, Western Illinois gives you a lot of fucking opportunities to hit open jump shots. And I'm just not willing to back Oral Roberts as a 15.5 point favorite. I just won't do it. Western Illinois is not a doormat, at least in my opinion. And I just think that Oral Roberts can win this game without routing them. I think that the first half has the best value. And if you can get a line that's fucking at 9 points, that seems reasonable to take with them. Oral Roberts has played much better in second halves than they have in first halves. And Western Illinois has been able to fucking elevate their performances in second halves versus the first half. So if we can get a first half that's in the 65 to 67 point range, I do think that Western Illinois scores enough to stay within 9 points. And I can't take them as this big of a dog, even on the road, versus Max Asmus and Connor Vanover, who needs a fucking tan as much as I need a tan. We could both be fucking tanning salon buddies. He can reach to the top shelf to get the shit I can't reach. I need a tall person like that. All right. Feels like this card's been going on fucking forever. Let's move on. All right. North Dakota and Omaha. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that game. Texas Commerce and HCU. Now, for me, this is a really nice game for Texas Commerce to shine. I think that when you look at HCU, they're just not a team that really pull off fucking a ton of wins. They do play a little more competitively at home, so that is something to be aware of. I just don't think that they're going to be able to have the stylistic matchup that they had against New Orleans in this game tonight. I think that the safest way to bet this game is to take Texas A&M Commerce in the first half. HCU's really had troubles getting going offensively, and their defense has been like a fucking stripper's legs, open and available for business. So I'm rolling with Texas A&M Commerce in the first half. That's probably the best number that I see there. Nichols and Lamar. I'm not going to talk about that game just because I have some very angry feelings from Lamar and how they fucked me against Southeast Louisiana. I'm not going to bother with that one. Lindenwood and Southeast Missouri State. I think Southeast Missouri State is a better bet first half than they are full game. And even though they've had some problems starting up, I do think that this is one of the games against Lindenwood. If they can limit some of the three-point shot opportunities and take away some of the unnecessary fouling, they should be able to stay competitive. I think that Lindenwood full game probably is the better play. Southeast Missouri State first half. I wouldn't be surprised to see both lose, though. Not one of my favorite spots on the card, but something that I degenerately bet. And Lindenwood's been a very good dog in conference so far. They've knocked 4 out of 4 tickets. So they definitely deserve a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. All right, Incarnate Word versus New Orleans. We've seen this line go from 1 to 3.5, back down to 2.5. I think that the play here is Incarnate Word on the money line to win this basketball game. New Orleans has not given you really any opportunity to fucking believe that they can win a game on the road. If they were going to win a game on the road, they would have won the game against HCU. This is not the same quality New Orleans team from last year. And frankly, with a guy like fucking Benjamin Griscotti for this fucking Incarnate Word team, I do have some confidence in him being able to break out of his slump versus this very perimeter defensive lapsing New Orleans defense. I think that Incarnate Word, if you're going to bet them, this is the game to bet them. This is the game that they can win. And I look forward to fucking seeing it fucking come true. Now, Incarnate Word has not played a lot of under basketball. With this line going down from 146 to 143 back up to 145, definitely makes me think that it's the right move, and I'm glad that I'm on the over 143. Because I was like, if you look at Incarnate Word, if you look at their last 6 games, all 6 games have gone over by more than 7 points off the closing line, and all those games ended up in the 140s or more. So give me that all day. I'll roll with that shit. Incarnate Word has one of those awesome backdrops at their fucking arena. Brick backdrop. I love that shit. So give me some of Incarnate Word on the money line, just like I was on Georgia on the money line last night. All right, Texas A&M Corpus Christi, not to be confused with Texas A&M Commerce. They are 2 different schools. Texas A&M Corpus Christi, the Islanders, have been making their money beating up on lesser teams. And I do think that at home in this game tonight, they will do the same. They got to stop Matthew Strange from hitting threes. They got to stop Eastman from penetrating the paint. They got to keep Robury fucking in foul trouble and on the bench. And I think that this Islander team has finally started to figure out what they need to do. Become more perimeter oriented. getting fucking Tennyson and Trey Murdoch's lots more scoring opportunities. The question is going to be, is Isaac Mushila in the game? Is he going to be playing? Is he going to be available? Because he does make a big difference to this team's bottom line. And with him coming off the bench last time out, definitely gives me a little bit of what's going on. But having Delarius Keys back in the lineup along with Isaac equal good fucking times. I like Corpus Christi on the first half. I like them full game. I think that this is a double-digit win for them. We've seen them be able to fuck with their eyes open, especially the last couple games in conference, albeit 2 games against Incarnate Word. But I'm just not feeling what I'm seeing from Southeast Louisiana. They were lucky to get out with a win against Lamar at home. Now they're going to go out on the road versus the conference top contender. No, Daddy-O. No, Daddy-O. I'm not playing that fucking style. I'm rolling with Texas A&M Corpus Christi early on and full game. Wire to wire, please, and thank you. When it comes to their line, 8.5 at -113 is not a bad fucking line, and it's not bad vig. When it comes to their first half, I don't have that in front of me. But if you can get 4.5, even buying down at -115, I think that's worth a play right there. The play that probably interests me also would be that first half over 72. But going back and looking at the numbers, I think that it just falls a little short. So I'd be actually looking towards the under first half 72 in that game. All right. Oh, Danny Reagan is interrogating someone on Blue Bloods. Love that show. Moorhead and Tennessee Tech. You all want to hear about SIU in Eastern Illinois. If you don't follow me on Twitter, fuck you. I already put out Southern Indiana over 154.5. Not going to talk about that game. What else is there that I actually want to talk about? No. Oh, here's a game that I want to talk about. Southern Miss and Marshall. Now, Southern Miss looked so bad against ULM. Now, they were a 7-point favorite in that game. Because of a game that they looked bad in, but still won by 5, their gift is being a 7.5-point dog next time out. I don't buy it. This is a Southern Miss number to me. Felipe Haase went 1 for 12 from the field. Can you really say that he's going to do that 2 games in a row? Give me him and Austin Crowley to fuck with their eyes open and give Marshall all that they can handle. Obviously, Marshall with Andrew Taylor, with Candy Kerfman, with Tavion Kinsey, they're no fucking walk in the park. This is not going to be an easy game. But this game screams to me points, and this game screams to me underdog. Just because Marshall was able to walk all over Coastal Carolina as a 13-point favorite, no, Daddy-O. Not playing that fucking game either. I like what this fucking USM team can do defensively. I like what Marshall can do fucking at the free throw line, which is 62%. And if you lead points at the free throw line like that against USM, you're in trouble. I think that this is a game that Marshall probably is up by 4 points at halftime. But if you get 4.5 on Southern Miss on the first half, then you're in the money. So that's how I'm looking at it. I think that this is a rebound game for Southern Miss. Offensive numbers aren't clean, but they do get to the free throw line at time. They do good job. They do good work on the offensive glass, and they're doing a good job of forcing 14 to 17 turnovers a game. So against Marshall, with how perimeter oriented they're going to be, with how many passes within a possession they're going to make, I like it. So I'm rolling with it. I like Southern Miss, and I like the over. St. Mary's, not going to talk about that game. Sam Houston State, no, not going to talk about the WAC. There's not really any of the other games I really wanted to talk about because the later we get into Pac-12 games. I'll say this: I'm not taking fucking Gonzaga tonight. That's for sure. Fuck that game. What else? That's pretty much it, actually. The more I look at it, I'm not interested in the Pac-12. I don't want to talk about the WAC. I don't really have anything good on the Big Sky. Pepperdine, San Diego, no. Yeah, that's about it for me. Fuck, sorry. I'm not going to hit any of the last 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or later games. I thought that Weber State could have some value as an underdog going into Montana, and I thought Montana State was a good first half full game spot. They've been really good on the spread, especially in conference once they got home. But that's really about it. So, all right, that's it. I'm done. If you have any games that you want me to talk about or look at first half lines for right now, put that in the chat. Otherwise, I'll wait a couple minutes and then I'll just shut it down. I'll take this opportunity to look at some Twitter fucking messages and some Facebook messages I have. Okay. Oh, man. Yeah, I gotta look at that Longwood full game over now. First half, I still like the under, but I gotta look at the full game over. That could be a tale of two halves when it comes to the total. Austin P, yeah, I like Austin P. Southern Utah, no. Yeah, I guess that's it for me. I'm gonna fucking go and see what happened in soccer today. Fucking sport. Kick a ball around. Oh my God. If anyone has any on that Barcelona Real Betis game, throw that in. Outside of that, yeah. Oakland first half, Troy first half. Yeah, I don't mind that. Whew. Uh-oh. My fucking super fade is on San Francisco. That makes me worried. I have San Francisco on the money line in a parlay. So I'm wondering if I should get off that now. This is why social media is dangerous for me. Makes me want to get off plays. Yeah. Oregon's a real interesting spot because of how bad they beat up Utah. Now it feels like they get the same thing happening to them again. Ooh, I'm getting fucking invites to sex parties from whores. Love that. Injuries. Are there injuries that we need to know about? Yeah, Arizona State, the more I think about it, has some value as a dog tonight. Yeah, fucking incarnate word over. For sure, I'm getting on that. Injuries. There's so many injuries in college basketball. It's so hard to keep track of them all. I like that UCLA Utah first half over. Oh man. Ugh. Yeah. BYU's rim defense is going to be the key tonight. I think actually, I just found another play. Fucking Drew Timmy. Let's fucking do that right now. Get me. North Star Bets. I need you. I need Gonzaga. I need Drew Timmy. Drew Timmy is a moneymaker. Where are you, Drew Timmy? Please have props for this game. Player props. 22.5? Fuck that. Shit. 22.5 is high. I'm still going to bet it. I don't like it. But Drew Timmy over 22.5 points minus 113? I'm doing it, buddy. I'm doing it. I'm doing it, buddy. Yes. Fuck. Yeah, I like it. I don't love it, but I like it. So, Drew Timmy all day. I do not like Grand Canyon as a big dog tonight. All right. Okay. This was fun while it lasted. All right. Well, Texas State first half minus 1.5 is probably my favorite stream play. And then Drew Timmy over fucking 22.5 points, minus 113. My favorite prop play. So I'm going to fucking take this dance party and I'm going to go somewhere else. And if you want to join my fucking Discord, not that I give a shit if you do or not, you can fucking let me know. Otherwise, you'll be seeing me bragging when I post some fucking winners tonight. Have a great day. Enjoy yourself. Fuck with your eyes open. Dip your chicken tenders in honey, not honey mustard, and drink some fucking maple syrup and whiskey shot.